Hi, I'm Jess. Welcome back to my channel, Chilling Like a Villain, and I'm doing my December wrap up. Yes, I know it's really late, and it's like a week into January already, which is insane, but I'm lazy. I'm super lazy, so that's my only excuse. Okay, so I read 9 books in the month of December, which is quite good. Some of these I read for the Book Nerdathon wrap up, which I think that I did post. I can't remember. I think that I did. But so I'll try not go too far into them because otherwise I'll just be saying the same thing. The first one I read was Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskell. This is a short story collection that is centered around all the different characters in this town in like the Victorian era. This wasn't really what I was expecting. Well, it was, but because it's a short story collection, but it's about the same characters and it's in chronological order, so it's almost like little tiny episodes of just random stuff that happens in this town. And it was very funny. Elizabeth Gaskell's a very funny writer, but I don't know, I just didn't connect to it as much. I think for that reason, because it didn't feel like there was a proper plot. It was just like little things that would happen. So 3 stars. I recommend it. It was quite nice. If you like Elizabeth Gaskell, then you should probably read it. Then I have A Dark and Twisted Tide by Sharon Bolton. This is the 4th Lacey Flint book. Lacey Flint is a detective in London, and yeah, I won't go too much into it because it's the 4th book. Yeah, it's following Lacey. It always follows her sort of after the events of the other books, because all the other books are so traumatic that like her character development sort of has to progress through all these books because it's very much based on sort of stuff that she went through. But this one was not my favourite, which is why I hope that we get another one just to sort of bring it back up again. This is one of my favourite series. She is one of my favourite characters. But in this one, I don't know, we just got so many different points of view, and there were so many little things going on that it felt a bit lacking. So often in these books, it's so character driven because of Lacey's past and Lacey's secrets, and she's quite an unreliable narrator and all of this, and she's got a lot of problems because of various things that have happened to her, because there were so many different point of views, like from the murderer, from people getting killed, from another police officer, from Lacey, so it all got a bit sort of jumbled together, so there wasn't as much development. But I love this series. It's a nice sort of dark, good murder series with a lot of twists, so yeah, definitely recommend it because it's one of my favourites. Then we have Johnny Panic and the Bible of Dreams. It's funny that I'm holding this up third because I've written them down in the order that I started them, not when I finished them, because this took me a little while to read. Just because the writing is quite small, but also I was just taking my time with it because it's short stories, which I should explain. This is short stories, journal entries, and stuff like that by Sylvia Plath. Her only novel being The Bell Jar. She's mostly famous for her poems, but this is her other prose work. And you can see that she was like an amazing author. The Bell Jar is wonderful. So it's just such a shame, obviously, with everything that happened to her, that she never got the chance to write another novel, because when you read this and all of her prose, you can kind of see where more would come from, and that she was very good at writing prose, even if she didn't necessarily write a lot of it. In a little while, there was obviously some stories that I like more than others, but she's a very good author, and a lot of these stories are kind of creepy, and you know, it's very much in the same writing style as The Bell Jar. So I think that if you like that, then you would like this. I love Sylvia Plath and I love her poems, which is why I read this. There's some bits at the end that are her journal entries, and they got slightly strange at one point. I didn't like them bits as much, but it was still good. I still recommend this if you want a sort of good, well-written short story collection. Then the next one I cannot hold up because I read it on ebook. Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. This follows Melinda, who has something traumatic happen to her at a party, and calls the cops. She starts a new school year and she has no friends and no one wants to talk to her because no one really knows why she did what she did. And it follows her trying to deal with this thing that happened to her, and you kind of get glimpses of what that is throughout the book, and she is learning to speak about it, hence the title. This is a good book. It was a really good book. I think I only gave it 3 stars, but that's me being biased because one of my favourite books ever is Winter Girls by Laurie Halse Anderson, and I was kind of comparing them. And like I said, I think I did say this in my wrap up, I've seen the film ages ago with Kristen Stewart in it of Speak, so I kind of knew everything that was going to happen anyway because it's such a short book that they could got it all in the film. But it is a very, very good book. I think the reason I didn't connect to it as much as I wanted to and as much as I connected to Winter Girls is one, that I was expecting to, and then I kind of hyped it up in my mind, and two, Leah in Winter Girls is 16, 17, and Melinda is 14, and very well done to Laurie Halse Anderson for making it sound like a 14-year-old because she does, but I am 21, so I think maybe it was like a slight gap with that, and it's a very small book as well, so there's development. She does cram in a lot into one book, but I think I just didn't connect to the character as much. But that being said, I very highly recommend it. It's got some sensitive topics in there, but it deals with them really well, and it's really good. Laurie Halse Anderson is a very good author, and I kind of want to read everything that she's written. Then I read The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. This is also in my book Nerdathon wrap-up because that's what I read it for. And this follows Mary Lennox, who, after she's orphaned in India, is forced to move in with her uncle in this northern manor in England. And she finds a secret garden and learns about herself and learns about the people there. And it's a very nice book. I read A Little Princess by the same author, which is amazing. And again, I was comparing them, and I need to stop doing that. But after, I was not feeling it in the beginning, but then once you get further into it, then it gets really good. It's a very sweet book, but not horribly sweet, just the right amount. And Mary is a bit, they call her Mistress Mary, quite contrary, because she is very contrary and she's very sort of selfish at the beginning, and it's really quite fun to see, and it's fun to see her develop into a nicer person, and all the little relationships she makes with the other children, and it's quite nice, and it's not one of those sort of patronising children's books either, because it is a children's book, but I read it and it was still really good and made me feel emotions, so it doesn't patronise you or anything like that, so you should definitely read it. Then I read I Captured the Castle by Dodie Smith. I'm sure I've gone into this. Did I include this in my book Nerdathon wrap up? I think I did because I either just finished it or I had a bit left. But I won't go too far into it again because I didn't like it particularly. This follows Cassandra, who is 17. She lives in a castle with her eclectic family during the 1930s, and one day 2 American men come and stay in the village and come and move to the village that they live in, and it kind of changes their lives. I was kind of expecting to like this a bit more than I did. I just found it a bit boring in places. There's a little love triangle and she didn't really end up with who I wanted it to be, and it is a coming of age story, and I don't know. It's blurred by J.K. Rowling, there. So I just thought that it would be better, but I don't know. It just felt like nothing really happened, and I couldn't connect to the characters particularly. And yeah, no, it wasn't very good. I think I'm going to get rid of this now because I'm probably not going to read it again. Yeah, it was okay. It was average. It's not a bad book by any means. It was just a bit boring. Then I read The Tiger in the Well by Philip Pullman, which is the 3rd Sally Lockhart book. this series follows Sally, who is 16 in the first book and 24 by the third book, and it's in the Victorian times, and she kind of gets pulled into all these adventures and mysteries and stuff like that. I really like this series. Philip Pullman's a really good author. This, however, was my least favourite, because the fourth book, there is a fourth one, but it doesn't follow Sally, it follows her friend. So this was sort of a conclusion to Sally's main story. And I don't know, it fell flat for me just because there were certain points that felt a bit rushed. I found it again in the fourth book, The Tin Princess, where there's certain bits that just felt a bit like he was telling us as opposed to showing us certain relationships that form. It was very quick, and it was a bit like, yeah, I'm not feeling this. Particularly, it kind of felt like he just needed to do it because her story was ending, and yeah. But that being said, Sally is a really lovely character. It kind of concludes a lot from the other two books, so it was a satisfying end. Something happens in the second book, which means the way I wanted it to end is impossible. So I'm kind of taking what I can get with this one. So yeah, it's a good series. It's a really nice series. I've just finished it actually because I've just read the fourth one. And I would recommend it. I do love it, and it's very fun. And Sally's a lovely character to read about because she's so like badass and gung ho about stuff. So I do recommend it, but this was not my favourite one. Then I read another ebook, which is Mortal Arts by Anna Lee Huber. This is the second Kira Darby mystery book. This series follows Kira Darby. Her husband was an anatomist in the Victorian times, so he would dissect bodies and try and learn about them, but he forced her to take part and to draw the bodies because she's a very good artist. So she kind of has to deal with the stigma of that. And then she kind of gets pulled into investigating mysteries because of this knowledge of bodies. So if you're looking for some, like, a cute historical romance with mystery and adventure, then I would read those books. The only thing that really annoyed me about this book was for the majority of it, it's historically accurate. It's fine. Most of it. There was just a few tiny little things that she kept doing where I was just like, please stop. Because she kept making them say, no worries. In the Victorian England, they kept saying, no worries. We don't even say that now in England, so I don't know why she thought that they would say it in the Victorian times, because that's, like, to me, that's a very American phrase, number one, and two, no worries, they just would not say it, okay, believe me, they would not. So it was good enough, it's a cute series, I can read them very quickly, 3 stars. I'm excited to get to the next one, just because I love stuff like that, so yeah. Then I read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I'm sure we all know the story by now. Ebenezer Scrooge is a miser, and he's really tight with money, and he's really mean, and he is visited by 3 ghosts on Christmas that force him to change his ways. Yeah, I read this at Christmas, and I was like, this year is finally the year, I'm so excited. And it just fell flat, and I think that it is just because everyone knows the story. You know it so well. I know lines from this already, even though I'd never read it before. I could tell you lines from it just because it's so well known. So it kind of felt a little bit pointless to read it. But that being said, I like Charles Dickens. I actually really like his writing, and it was a good enough book. I mean, it's worth reading, really. But yeah, it's very small, so you can read it in a day, so it's not a problem or anything. So yeah. It was alright, 3 stars, it's fine. So yeah, that was my December wrap up, and I'm not very good at descriptions or wrap ups, but thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.